2023 is a special year for South Korea and India, with the two countries celebrating the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties. After first establishing relations in 1973, the two countries raised their relationship to that of a strategic partnership in 2010, which developed into a special strategic partnership in 2015. During that time, bilateral ties have grown in fields of economy and security, but also in socio-cultural exchanges. However, more opportunities lie ahead. To explore that today, I'm honoured to say that we have a special guest joining us for our in-depth. We have the Indian ambassador to South Korea himself, Amit Kumar, who stepped into office last September. He is a career diplomat who has served in several Indian missions abroad, including Washington, D.C. and Tokyo. He's here with us in the studio today. Ambassador, welcome and hello.
Thank you. I'm delighted to join you, Young Ho, and through you, I would like to extend my warm greetings to all the listeners. Well, in India, there is a great deal of admiration about what South Korea has achieved as a country, the miracle on the Han River. And I, as a professional diplomat, have served in the region. I've been in China twice and in Japan once. And in some sense, I have had the opportunity to witness these developments in Korea, had a ringside view, so as to speak of. And I have wanted to visit your country for a long time. Little did I know that I would have the honor and privilege to be appointed as India's ambassador to the Republic of Korea. In the past 7 months that I have been here, I have interacted with a whole lot of interlocutors in diverse areas, be it political, economic, commercial, financial sectors, in the area of science and technology, culture, and people-to-people contacts. And I must say that I am very enthused by the positive response that I've seen, the positive sentiments that exist towards India, and it encourages all of us at the embassy to work towards deepening and expanding this partnership. Also, with COVID-19 receding into the background, I think we are seeing intensified exchanges between our two countries at the ministerial level, as senior official levels and other levels, and I do look forward to working with all our friends in South Korea to deepen and expand our relationship.
Well, thank you for diving right in. You said that you had been looking for an opportunity to come to Korea.
Yes.
So, had you been to Korea before, or had you visited at least before?
No, this in fact is my first time in Korea.
Wow.
And yeah.
And how have you found the last 7 months so far, personally?
I must say that South Korea now is like home for last 7 months. And I must confess that it is a fairly comfortable place to settle down fairly quickly. It has some wonderful infrastructure. Connectivity is good, both physical and digital. And I think it, of course, helped us because my family and I are very fond of Korean cuisine. In fact, we have been sampling it for over 2 decades. So that helped. But beyond that, there is so much to absorb in terms of Korean culture, K-pop, K-dramas, tourism potential, shared heritage of Buddhism. And when I arrived here in Republic of Korea, I was surprised to note that it is such a mountainous country, but it's also very picturesque and probably one of the very few places that still have 4 distinct seasons. So I'm looking forward to enjoying that while I'm in Korea.
Well, it sounds like you've settled in very well, Ambassador, so that's great to hear. Ambassador, you are also here at a time when there's an important milestone being reached between the two countries, as I mentioned at the start. India and Korea, they established ties in 1973 on December 10th, so the 50th anniversary is upcoming. As I mentioned, there have been advances in the relationship. You've mentioned it as well. But then how would you describe the relationship that has been forged between the two countries over the past 50 years? How has it developed in your eyes?
Right. As you mentioned, it is indeed a very special year for us. We celebrate the 50th anniversary of our establishment of our diplomatic relations, but allow me to go back a bit because relations between our two countries are almost 2 millennia old, and you might have heard the story of the princess from India who traveled to Korea by the maritime route, married the king Kim Suro, started the venerable Gaya dynasty here. But we also have the shared heritage of Buddhism, and so that connects the people of our two countries for many centuries. In fact, there is a very fascinating, painstaking research done by the chief abbot of Gimhae's Yoyo Jungsa temple, Monk Domyong, which shows how Buddhism actually arrived in Korea in the 1st century through the maritime route. In fact, it was brought here by the brother of Princess Suri Ratna when she came from India. So we have those ties to celebrate as well. In the more contemporary era, I just wanted to refer to the significant humanitarian contribution by India during the Korean War. We had a 627 strong medical contingent, half of which fought at the front lines. The other half operated 4 medical facilities in Daegu, and among them they treated more than 220,000 civilians and soldiers while they were here. In addition, we had the 500,000 strong custodian forces of India who dealt with the complex and sensitive issue of prisoners of war, and which I must say was handled in a very professional and fair manner. Now, coming to the present, you are right, we today have a fairly wide-ranging special strategic partnership with Korea. We are both democracies, we are free market economies, and I think both our societies are entrepreneurial and innovative in nature. Our partnership today encompasses not only political defense or strategic affairs, but we are also working closely on economic and commercial engagement, on energy transition issues, on new and emerging technologies, and so on. We, of course, also want to promote people-to-people exchanges, cultural and educational cooperation, and promote greater tourism between our countries, and so on. So I think all in all, it's a fairly comprehensive partnership where two sides should work together to deepen it and further expand it.
Right, so there are deep historical links between the two countries that you've walked us through, and also there's been connections throughout Korea's modern history as well, and the relationship has certainly come a very long way. Despite that, though, I feel there are still a lot of opportunities for more exchanges and cooperation as well, perhaps most notably in economy. I believe India is South Korea's 8th largest trading partner as well. What do you think about some of the more unexplored opportunities that we can still reach into?
No, I agree there. I think we need to do more. And I think it's natural that as the 5th largest economy in the world and South Korea is the 10th largest economy, we should be engaging with each other in a more robust manner. So on the economic and commercial side, as you said, there is a scope for further improvement in terms of trade, in terms of more investment flows, in terms of more capital flows. Today, India is growing at 6.2%. Is projected to grow at 6.4%, and the projection is that we will continue to grow at relatively faster rates over the next 2 decades.
I understand India is on course to become the 3rd largest economy by 2030 at least, overtaking Japan and Germany, right?
Well, we are working towards that end. Yeah. So yes. So but in terms of specific areas, if you look at, for example, South Korea is very strong in manufacturing, advanced manufacturing. If you look at Industry 4.0 cluster of technologies, I think there is scope to work there. If you look at energy transition issues and climate change, green hydrogen, electric vehicles, secondary batteries, and so on. The other aspect I want to highlight is that the COVID pandemic showed that the single source dependency is not such a good thing. And I think in terms of geopolitical shifts that we are seeing, the supply chain resilience is an important issue for all countries. India is taking important steps to position itself as an active player in supply chains. And that also, I think, opens up more opportunities for India and Korea to work together.
What barriers or obstacles are there, do you think, to overcome, to achieve some of these more goals, some of these more opportune goals?
Well, I would not say obstacles. I think, of course, we need to engage with each other more, talk to each other more, enhance our understanding. But there are a lot of opportunities, and it only in the future, I think we can only be engaging more. And I will certainly, that's one of my objectives as ambassador to make sure that that happens.
Well, with the 50th anniversary this year, it sounds like a great time to, of course, encourage that development of relations. It must be a very busy year for you and the embassy. How is the anniversary of South Korea and India diplomatic ties being celebrated this year?
So that's a good question. I think, as you rightly pointed out, we are looking at a very intense calendar of bilateral exchanges. Not only because it's the 50th anniversary, also because we hold the current presidency of the G20 group, and therefore in terms of engagement that have happened, Prime Minister participated virtually in the Summit of Democracy session, which was chaired by President Yoon himself. We had seen the visit of Foreign Minister Park Chin to India. More recently, our Finance Minister was here for the Asian Development Bank's annual meetings, but which also provided us an opportunity to organize bilateral interactions for her, including with the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chu. But moving forward, in terms of G20 calendar, we are expecting several high-level visits from South Korea, and we, of course, are looking forward to welcome His Excellency President of the Republic of Korea, President Yoon Suk-yeol, to India. But beyond that, in terms of events, we are looking to organize several economic and commercial seminars focusing on some of the areas that I have already highlighted before you. But we are also looking at promoting Indian culture in South Korea. We have, for the last 10 years, been organizing something called a Sarang Festival, and we continue that. We hope to bring some well-known cultural troops from India. We are also looking to organize a food festival and a film festival as part of that framework.
On that note, it leads me to a social media video
Yes.
that has gone viral recently this year. It was produced by the Korean Embassy in India, featuring an iconic dance scene from the Indian smash hit film RRR, which it's gone viral, as I said, having garnered millions of views and even a nod from the Indian Prime Minister himself, Narendra Modi. I believe we have a clip of it ready, so let's have a quick look at it together now.
Do you know Natu?
So just to explain for our listeners as well, various staff members of the Korean Embassy in India, including Ambassador Chang Jae-bok himself, are dancing to the song Natu Natu, which of course became an Oscar-winning song at the Oscars this year. And as I mentioned, the video, it went viral. I understand that it was particularly enjoyed by those in India, understandably, right? What did you make of the video?
First of all, I think in terms of public diplomacy initiative, it was a wonderful effort by the Korean Embassy. And I think the video went viral because I think the Indian public appreciated the hard work, the sentiment behind producing this video. I must also tell you that when I saw the video, one thought crossed my mind that hopefully my government will not expect some reciprocal measure from our side to perform a video on a, say, BTS or a Blackpink song.
So you're not looking to do a reciprocal dance challenge of some K-pop song then?
With I think with two left feet, I think it's a nightmarish experience. But I think let's come back to the song itself. I think first of all it reminded me of Gangnam Style.
Right.
I think in some ways it's similar, but of course this particular song is probably a little faster than that. But the real significance in my mind is, of course, it won the Oscars, and the Korean movie Parasite recently won the Oscars. I think 2 years back. It, of course, introduces it to a wider global audience. There was an Indian documentary film, Elephant Whisperers, which also won the Best Documentary Award at this year's Oscars. But the broader point is that both Korea and India have a very creative, vibrant film industry. And we need to do more to promote each other's films in our respective countries. I am told that some Indian movies in the past have done very well in the South Korean market. Films like Dangal, Three Idiots, English, and so on. As I mentioned, we had organized a film festival last year. We hope to bring more regional and critically acclaimed films from India this year. And I'm very enthused by reports that some film producers, particularly from South India, are already in touch with Korean film producers on joint collaboration and perhaps adapting some Korean movies for Indian audience.
Sure, there seems like a lot of opportunity for soft power exchanges as well.
Certainly.
In the meantime, also hold out hope that perhaps you will do a dance challenge at some point. Perhaps some of your staff can twist your arm one day.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, finally, Ambassador, before we go, what would you say is the vision for South Korea and India for the next 50 years?
Yeah, I think there's much to do. I think you pick out any area and I think you will conceivably find areas of intersection, areas where we can explore partnerships, tap into synergies. So we need to work towards that end. Really, sky is the limit in terms of what we can do. I had not touched upon one particular aspect, so I'll mention that. I think, as you know, we are a large country. We're also a populous country. We're also a very young country. And I believe that we should discuss, this is something which is already being discussed, but in terms of human resource exchanges, we can perhaps help mitigate some of the demographic challenges that South Korea is facing. We should work towards a framework which allows Indian workers to come here to be able to contribute effectively to the Korean economy, to be able to work here with comfort and so on. And the other thing is that we need to promote Korean language in Indian universities, because that's an important step if we were to realize some sort of labor mobility. You would be happy to note that Korean is already taught in around 16 universities in India. It is also one of the foreign languages which is enlisted for high schools in India. So we look forward to doing that.
Well, we certainly look forward to the future of the South Korea-India relationship as well. We'll leave it there. We've been speaking with the Indian ambassador to South Korea, Amit Kumar. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you.